Jen Psaki, Circle Back Bitch, Peppermint Patty, the White House press secretary as we have come to know her. This week, she made the quite semi, in parentheses, expected announcement that she would be leaving her position as White House press secretary to instead join the ranks of MSNBC. See, apparently in legacy media right now, there's a big push for gender equity. And seeing as how CNN already had its quota of women, and MSNBC was still overwhelmed by the ranks of, well, men. The decision for her to join that branch of the propaganda ministry was pretty much a foregone conclusion. Now, look, you can say what you want about her moving on to greener pastures or leaving one ministry of propaganda to join another. I have to say that I have a grudging respect for Circle Back Bitch. You see, being somewhat of a wordsmith myself, I admire someone with a gift for spinning a good line of bullshit. And when it comes to spin and bullshit, my God, this woman is the best. And I really think that's what's at the root of this. I don't think it's got anything to do with finances. I don't think it's got anything to do with moving up in the ranks. I just think that there's a certain air of being overwhelmed when the bullshit piles up so quick that you need wings to stay above it. It's impossible to spin it. And seeing as how the Biden administration's had to deal with one disaster after another, from the horrible, poorly executed withdrawal from Afghanistan to, the war in Ukraine, to soaring gas prices and record inflation. It's really tough. The disaster on the border. It just seems like one pig fuck after another. And I think the final nail in the coffin was when the story broke about this crackhead. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. That was a different story this week. The actor that played this particular crackhead, the crackhead to which I am referring is, well, this crackhead, who happens to be the son of the current president. And I think that the inevitability of the surfacing of all of the scandals revolving around this crackhead's laptop were just too much to bear. And Jen said, you know what? Fuck it. I'm out of here. Now, there's a rich tradition when it comes to legacy press and propaganda and mind control, and MSNBC and all of the legacy media. And when I say all, I mean all of the legacy media are following in the rich tradition of Soviet Pravda and TASS. And I do not exclude Republicans. Don't think I'm giving the deep state a pass on the Republican side, because before any of this propaganda ministry crosses over into government realm, let's not forget that during the reign of the Bush junta, administration, that none other than, well, this guy, Tony Snow from Fox, well, he left Fox News to become press secretary for the Bush junta, administration. So in a way, Circle Back Bitch is just completing the circle. You see, Tony Snow went from Fox News to the government as a minister of propaganda, and now Jen Psaki is leaving from the government to join the press ministry of propaganda. Why, in fact, she's almost a Leni Riefenstahl for our day. Yes, indeed. Hard to say enough about Circle Back. May the circle be unbroken. By and by, Lord. By and by. The opinions expressed by the Reverend are his own and nobody else's on the planet. Not friends, not foes, not supporters, not detractors, not sponsors, and I cannot stress this enough, certainly not employers. They have been adjudicated thought crime in all jurisdictions. Consider yourself warned. They are coming from the heart. They are guided by the mind. They are 2 hours late, but they are still guaranteed to choke you with a big, fat dose of that ever-loving truth cock. Welcome back once again, boys and girls. It is time for the Sunday sermon. I appreciate your patience with the 2-hour delay and the additional 15 minutes for internet hiccups. You guys are all here. Where's the fire? Everybody in for the drum roll. Oh, man, it's been a full day of work. It's been a full week on the news. All kinds of good stuff going on. Do a real quick roll call. We'll see which one of the usual suspects are already here. We got Bodie Sands on board. Hello, Bodie. Terry Rubino. Yes, indeed. Oh, you sweetheart. We have Terry and, of course, Roman from OGTales.com. Brother Joel is here. Brother Dennis Weimer. OG Reverend Ranger. My beloved Janice. My own son that Sergey loves you too because Russia. Good to have you on board, Denise. Sorry for everything being delayed. Mighty Mike. Good to have you on board, brother. As always, one of my top supporters. Good brother, friend of mine. I know you heard about Professor Howell's Feast of Valhalla coming up on April the 30th. I will be in for that. Come hell or high water, we are going to make that happen. Brother Steve Jetton on board. Good to see you, my friend. Joey, the Sultan of Sarcasm. Yes, indeed. And, of course, Brother Ryan Jenkins. Hey, man. Good to see you, bro. We're going to do part 2 of the rabbit hole that we started last week. I think you're going to dig it. My young Padawan, Jonathan, formerly known as Stay Ready Holloman. Good to see you on, man. Good to see you on. Brother G-Dub on board from the ranks of the Outlaw Truckers. Listening to Bart while walking through Walmart. Don't scare the locals, G-Dub. Don't scare the locals. Says the guy who's out here making a hobby out of scaring the fucking locals. Oh, man. Who else we got? I think I pretty much covered it. Dr. Patrick Platzer, chiropractor, soft tissue guy extraordinaire, largely responsible for my continued ability to walk on more than one occasion in my life. You can rate my brisket in the bistro. I'm looking forward to it, man. I'm looking forward to celebrating his life. As you guys know, we are a warrior culture. We are warrior people. We do not mourn death. We celebrate life here. And while it is tragic that Professor Howell shuffled off this mortal coil and that we did not, because of Fauci lockdowns, get a proper chance to celebrate that, we will be paying him a proper tribute, somewhat belatedly. Yes. Yeah, Patrick, Ryan, you need to get in touch with Patrick. Patrick, you need to get in touch with Brian. He needs some work done, bro, and he's kind of like on for 2 weeks and then off. So, but get it coordinated, man. I've been singing your praises, so do them up right. What do we got? 2-hour delay means I can watch the live feed. Well, awesome, bro. Glad you made it, man. You can thank my employer for that one, man. It's been a full day out here on the project doing pics. You see, formerly known as, well, you don't wear that moniker anymore, my young Padawan. It used to be like right there in your Facebook profile, Jonathan Stay Ready Holloman, and then you kind of like let it go, So now you are the badass formerly known as Stay Ready in the same sense that the other guy was the artist formerly known as Prince. I don't know, man. Roll with it. Anyway, fuck, man. Glad you guys are on board. As always, the bumper music coming from a band called Red Desert, from the smoldering embers of the once great city of Minneapolis, Minnesota. Name of the track is Older No Wiser. Every week I get a little bit older. Every week you guys decide. If I've gotten any wiser, some weeks I do better than others. But yeah, kicked off the week celebrating my 53rd trip around the sun. It was uneventful, and at this age, I got to tell you, I'm pretty okay with uneventful. I really am, man. The older you get, you don't want to make it epic. You just want to make it draw as little notice as possible. But there was a massive outpouring of support from friends and fans and associates, and in the parlance of the guys from Quantico, known associates, that came out on social media to wish me happy birthday birthday, and I really do appreciate that, guys. I do. Every bit of support that you guys give me from week to week, and particularly on a special occasion like the birthday, it's always nice to have that. So yeah, there we go. Joey is right. What did I miss? Joey is right. What did I miss, Ryan? God damn it. There we go. Vid and audio glitchy on YouTube. Yeah, I'm not surprised. We've still got some internet difficulties here. I'm trying to secure the connection as best I can. I've got the signal booster working. I don't know where the hiccup is. It seems to vary from week to week. And I apologize for being 2 hours late to start with. We had a very busy day out on the project. You guys know I'm working on a little deal out here in Central Oregon. I am running a crane for a company out of Spokane, Washington. And we are out here in Central Oregon doing a project for a little company that you may have heard of. It's a lucrative contract. It's an interesting project. And we're basically 10 on, 4 off. So sometimes it's a little difficult to stay on a regular schedule. I try to maintain a regular start time for the broadcast. Sometimes it's out of my hands. So I appreciate y'all's patience. Maybe Bart is just blurry in real life. You know what? That's entirely possible. And depending on what inebriants any of you might be on right now, if you got a head full of shrooms, not only am I blurry, but I'm probably like lit up. So there's that. Couple of sponsor shout outs. I want to get out of the way real quick, of course. And it's interesting that Roman would pop up. Roman, one of my oldest and dearest friends, and of course opiumtales.com has been a flagship sponsor of the program since we got this thing started. They are the erotic pinups and portraits people. You got Roman and of course his lovely wife Carrie and Roxy and Allie and the bevy of beautiful women over at opiumtales.com. Beautiful women, beautiful watercolors, quality artwork, and testosterone driven commentary. What's not to like about that? So always happy to have those folks on board. And of course Casey and Dusty Tellison from Nordic Smoke Barbecue. Brother Casey celebrating his birthday today. I'm not going to reveal his age. I'm going to leave that up to him. He's probably not as sensitive about it as I am. But yeah, they're out again with the Viking Longship, the big smoker truck. They are setting up at American Gun and Pawn every Thursday. They start at 11 and they go until they sell out. And they sell out quickly because they already have people lined up around the block before the show even gets started. Why? Because they are the only legit barbecue in the inland Northwest. So go check them out. Tell them the Reverend sent you. It's not going to get you a discount, but it might get you a wink and a nod. But once you lay taste buds to this stuff, man, accept no fucking substitutes. Those guys are amazing. So happy birthday to Casey. You guys, Casey is the only guest that I've actually had on the show live in studio when he first got his book published. His book, by the way, being published by Latop Press out of Spokane, Washington. It is called Freaks of a Feather. It is it's his memoir, basically. He was a machine gunner, combat vet for the United States Marine Corps. He is an amazing author. He's very, very gifted. Okay, we completely blinked out there for a second. Okay, so big shout out. Happy birthday to Casey. And you guys make sure to spend your money with the people who are taking care of this program, because they are in large part the ones who make it possible for me to keep doing this stuff. And of course, you know, the contributions that you guys throw in the nation plate. So thank you for that as well. Let me see what Houston folks see us at Hawk Vineyards April the 9th. No kidding. Right on. Okay, so all of my H-Town folks, if you want to go meet Roman and his lovely wife, Carrie, they are apparently going to be at Hawk Vineyards April the 9th, 3 to 6 p.m. in the cellar. Free wine and, of course, his art. So definitely, man, go check him out and shake hands with the man and just ponder the enormity of being able to stay my friend for good Lord, since 1988. I'll let him tell you the story. It's pretty interesting how we met. Let's just say that our politics have always been pretty much in lockstep with each other, but let's just say that we were both in a very different place then. But however it was that we came about crossing paths, I am glad that we did cross paths. So that's it for that. So we'll be out of town then. Okay, well, guys, so first segment we are going to jump into right here is the ever popular Ryan's rabbit hole. That's right, that is correct. Let me give you the applause. Brother Ryan, my friend, my brother, in every sense of the word, he is the gentleman that made it possible for me to get started on my journey as a crane operator. And of course, he is a like mind and a kindred spirit on a number of levels. But most of all, we are both repositories of useless information. Our heads are just full of this stuff. And we, on the job site and out here in real life, we got to go down those rabbit holes together. And sometimes we go historical, sometimes we go philosophical, sometimes we go conspiratorial, but it's always something esoteric, obscure, and to my mind, interesting. The problem that I'm going to have, you remember last week we talked about Ramry and the invasion where the Indian battalion drove the Japanese troops into the swamp and they were munched on by crocodiles, and it was a shit show. It was horrible. Hey George, glad you made it, man. Thanks, and just in time too. The problem that I'm going to have with this rabbit hole is being able to stop myself, because this particular rabbit hole, we're going historical again this week. And this is when humans think of horror, we think of war, right? We think of war as the apex of horror. And within the bounds of what we as a species are able to create and what we as a species are able to comprehend, war is pretty much at the top of the fucking food chain. But I'm going to tell you something. Nature is a hell of a lot more fucking brutal and unforgiving and merciless than any act that humans can comprehend, up to and including war. And sometimes the horrors of nature and the horrors of war go hand in hand. Witness last week's rabbit hole where we talked about Ramry. And hopefully some of you guys I'm going to have to stop myself to give you guys a little bit more to explore, because this one is an item of personal interest to me. And I am talking about the USS Indianapolis. The USS Indianapolis, some of you have heard of it. If you've seen the movie Jaws, you saw Quint's little soliloquy. Didn't nearly do it justice. I'll give you the long and the short. Hey, Chase, right back at you, buddy. Right back at you. I love that kid, man. I miss him. I got to get down there to see you guys. The Indianapolis. We could get into the dates and we could get into, specifics about ports of departure and all this other stuff. I'm going to leave that to you and how far you want to follow it down. But this is basically the long and the short of it. Once upon a time, at the end of World War II, we acquired a world ender weapon. That weapon was the atomic bomb. Fat Man and Little Boy that were dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. We, as tool-wielding apes on the third rock from the sun, split the atom and harnessed the fundamental energy that powers the fucking universe. And we weaponized it because that's what we do. We had to deliver the core of the Hiroshima bomb. We had to deliver it to Tinian Island. Tinian Island was the home of the airstrip from which the Enola Gay was launched that dropped the bomb on Hiroshima. Now, we all know this part of the story. We know about the Enola Gay, the B-29. We know about Paul Tibbets. We know about the huge mushroom cloud. We know about the people's shadows burned into the earth because of the airburst explosion over Hiroshima. We know all about this. There is a side to this story that gets forgotten. The Indianapolis was a U.S. Navy cruiser that was dispatched with the task of delivering the atomic bomb core to Tinian Island so it could be placed in the warhead and airdropped from the B 29. Now, obviously, a mission like this is going to be quite secret, and generally, you want secrecy when things are surrounding a mission like this. Unfortunately, the mission was so secret that when bad things happen, the people that need to know are the last to know. The Indianapolis departed Tinian Island and was headed back to port and was torpedoed by a Japanese submarine. In the wee hours, the darkness of night, early hours of the morning, a torpedo struck the Indianapolis and it went down in a matter of minutes. Now, that in itself is a horror show. The thought of being stranded in the South Pacific amidst a ship that had just been sunk by a Japanese submarine and it's nothing but total blackness, that by itself would be horrific enough. But unfortunately for the men on the Indianapolis, the horror was just beginning. You see, the mission had been so secret that there was no report of when they were going to be departing Tinian and when they were going to be due back. So when they didn't show up when they were supposed to be there, nobody thought to send out a distress call. So these men went into the water, thousands of them. Thousands of them went into the water. And they were there for days because no one knew to expect them. Now, given the choice between standing on concrete at ground zero in Hiroshima or floating amidst rubble it should be better now. Given the choice between standing on concrete at ground zero, Hiroshima, and having my shadow scorched into the earth as my mortal remains are vaporized, or experiencing the horror of the survivors of the Indianapolis, floating in the South Pacific amidst rubble and the occasional life raft in the middle of oil slicks, sick to death from ingesting salt water and oil floating on the surface. And here's the best part, boys and girls, tapping into what we touched on with the Ramry incident last week, the South Pacific as a theater of war. Sharks, thousands of them, descended on the thousands of men floating from the wreckage of the Indianapolis. And they were out there for days. Sun, dehydration, starvation. Oh, and periodically having the guy next to you being ripped in half, shrieking as he is eaten alive by a creature that you never even get to see, but in traces of fins splitting the surface and black eyes rolling over white and teeth. The teeth and the screams. Dan Carlin did a phenomenal job. Um, his Hardcore History Addendum or Blitz series, I can't remember which exactly, but he did one on the horrors of the Indianapolis. If you want just a brief and thorough overview without having to do too much digging on your own, go to that. Dan Carlin, The Horrors of the Indianapolis, because I've never heard it summed up better than he did it. But if you want to do your own research, look into it. The USS Indianapolis, their call number, their call number was CA-35. But wait, it gets even better. And I'm going to leave you with this. Thousands, plural, went into the water. 100 plus, 100 and change came out. And the only reason they were even discovered was that there was a search plane that just happened to be where they weren't supposed to fucking be and saw the wreckage and literally witnessed from overhead men being ripped to pieces by swarms of fucking sharks. They landed that seaplane and they saved the last survivors of the Indianapolis. But it gets even better. As a perspective of how your government, your military, that institution that we love and trust and revere and should, for the sake of the boots on the ground and the men at the helm of the ships, this is what the United States Navy did. Because they couldn't say, wow, we really fucked this up. They had to make a scapegoat out of it. So they took the captain and they made him a scapegoat. It was his fault that the entire incident had happened, his fault entirely, because he had not been zigzagging. And not only did they put the captain on trial, but because the trial took place after the war, they brought the Japanese submarine captain. You remember the guys that had just been our enemies, the guys that we just dropped an atomic weapon on? They brought the Japanese sub-commander in to that court-martial to testify against the Navy captain. Thankfully, being a Shintoist, the Japanese submarine captain had more integrity than the entire goddamn U.S. Navy because he spoke the truth. He said no, the captain was not zigzagging as he was supposed to be. But he went further. We were too close. It would not have mattered. Had he been zigzagging, had he been following a straight course, no matter what maneuvers he would have taken or what evasive action, we were too close and it would not have mattered. And the captain was acquitted. But an acquittal doesn't solve everything. That captain lived for years with hate mail being sent to him by the families of the dead. Phone calls on Christmas where the families of the dead would say, hey, Captain, our Christmas would be a lot more merry if you hadn't killed our son. Because that's what the Navy ran with. And that's what the press ran with. There's a lesson about listening to what the media have to say and the narratives that they push, because the families believed it. The families didn't think fuck all about the acquittal. The families just believed what they'd been told in the press, and they hounded this captain with phone calls like that until finally it was too much. And he put a bullet through his head. End of the saga of the USS Indianapolis. This brief overview, I cannot begin to do justice to the enormity of that story. It's something that I've researched extensively. It's a subject of personal interest. And I don't even really, words fail, and that's rare. But the tragedy of it and the enormity of it and the horror of it and the lessons that can be taken from it on that number of level. Everything in life is a story. It's the strength of the story. It's the strength of the narrative. Your story, my story. The government's narrative is a story. History, just a story, usually written by the winners, often modified by the next set of winners. But the strength is always in the narrative, and the strength is always in the story. And that is one powerful fucking story. And that is Ryan's Rabbit Hole for the week, April 3rd, 2022. The USS Indianapolis. Go down the rabbit hole as far as you want. If you want the Reader's Digest condensed version, Dan Carlin, Horrors of the Indianapolis, I believe it is. Dan Carlin, Hardcore History Blitz Edition. There are two cinematic versions that I'm aware of. One of which stars Stacy Keach as the captain. The other stars Nicolas Cage as the captain. Both are slightly above average as far as film depictions of historical events go. Neither one of them comes close to doing it justice, and both take some substantial liberties with the actual facts of the incident, but they're worth a watch. And if nothing else, go back to that old classic from the 70s, Jaws. Go to YouTube and look up Quint, Captain Quint, and his soliloquy. See, that character, his character Quint, Shaw's character Quint, was a survivor of the Indianapolis. And that soliloquy, even though it was just Shaw drunk off his ass and ranting, was fucking brilliant. So definitely worth checking out. That is your rabbit hole for the week of 3 April 2022, the USS Indianapolis. So get off into that and enjoy yourself. All right. Let's deal with the other things that I wanted to address this week. So, Jen Psaki. I meant what I said in the opener. I absolutely meant what I said when I said that I have a grudging respect for Jen Psaki. She is patently evil. The skill that she possesses is loathsome, and she is working for a patently evil administration. But I have to applaud. I consider myself a bit of a wordsmith. Some weeks better than others. I have a skill for taking what is in my head and putting it out here in a way that you guys can absorb it and be able to get in my head and say, oh, okay, that's where Bart was coming from. Now, Psaki is one step beyond. She can take an image in her head that has no fundamental or even tangential, that's my college word. I got like 3 of those. Not even a tangential connection to any sort of mainstream reality construct. She can take that image and put it out here in a way that you can all look at it and go, wow, that is a very interesting image. It's based on lies and falsehoods and spin and hashtag intellectual gymnastics, but it's pretty fucking amazing to be able to pull that off. As I said in the opener, actually, before I get to that, I'm going to take it back. And I always misattribute this quote to Dmitry Orlov, cluborlov.com. He's survived the collapse of the Soviet Union, talks about the differences between the collapse of the American Empire and the collapse of the Soviet Empire. And I always misattribute this quote to him. And I never, ever, ever am able to fucking remember who actually said this. So I'll just misattribute it to fucking Orlov again. But the quote is solid. And that quote is, the one good thing about living under the Soviet regime, about living under totalitarianism, about living under an authoritarian, completely controlled society, is that we knew, there was no doubt, there was no hemming and hawing. We knew that everything that came from the maw of the mainstream press, because again, think about it, the Soviet Union, they had what? Pravda and TASS. That was it. And they knew. He said this was a good thing. They knew that anything that came through those official media outlets was a lie. It was bullshit. It was based in falsehood. It was a narrative that the government wanted to spin. The disadvantage that Americans have is that we watch MSNBC and Fox. Oh, yeah, I'm going to take them to task as well. Believe it. The only good thing that remains about Fox is Tucker Carlson. That's it. There. I said what I fucking said. You don't like it, eat a dick. They are just as guilty. They are legacy press. They are sporting a narrative. They are pushing a narrative based on their not even limited comprehension of the situation at hand. They know the full width and breadth of the situation, but they're only presenting one side of it, and they're presenting one side of it with a very specific purpose. Let's look at the situation in Ukraine, for instance. Fox is towing the line in Ukraine. It's not like MSNBC is out there going, Biden's doing a wonderful job, and fuck, we need to, we stand with Ukraine, and Putin is a bad guy. MSNBC is doing all that. The only difference between MSNBC's take on it and Fox's is that MSNBC is saying we are doing the right thing because of Biden, and Fox is saying that we're doing the right thing in spite of Biden. That's the only difference in the media narrative right now from those respective conflicting sources. The only guy not towing the line is fucking Tucker. And I've discussed this before. I hated Tucker during the Bush years. God damn, I hated that neocon shill motherfucker. I hated him. Some point, and it happened while I wasn't paying attention, because I didn't pay two fucks worth of attention to Tucker for years and years and years, and really didn't start again until about, I don't know, sometime in early 2020, maybe. I started just taking him in fits and starts. Now his fucking balls dropped. I don't know how to describe it, but he's the only guy at Fox that's not towing the line. And not ironically, and not coincidentally, he's got the top-rated fucking cable news show in the fucking country right now, as far as legacy media goes. Because what am I always saying? Fundamentally, people are suckers for what? Fundamentally, people are suckers for the truth. Hannity's not going to give it to them. Bongino, okay, all right, Bongino, but I don't consider Bongino a Fox employee. I consider him a podcaster with a program on Fox. All right, Bongino, different ballgame. Hannity's not going to give you the truth. Fox News isn't going to give you the truth. But they're both pushing the same fucking narrative that we're doing the right thing by standing with Ukraine. And when we get into the Hunter Biden thing here in a little bit, you're going to see a little more where it was at stake with regard to that. I have gone a little off task here, a little bit down Tangent Street, which you guys know is, par for the fucking course. It's a full day of work and I'm tired. So I'm going to meander, cope. Psaki is bailing. She's bailing from the White House press secretary position because she knows that she's going to be a lot more effective as a propaganda minister, as O'Brien from the Ministry of Truth, if we're going to go Orwellian about it. She's going to be a lot more effective at a legacy media outlet, particularly a hard left legacy media outlet like MSNBC, because on a day-to-day basis, As I said in the opener, the bullshit is piling up quicker than even Psaki has the ability to fucking spin it. And she's amazing. My God. I mean, this might be a weird fetish, but I kind of want to take Jen Psaki like on a table in the White House in front of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and while I'm drilling her, have her speak nothing but lies. Is that weird? Too much? Overshare? I don't know. I think about things. I'm lonely out here on the road. Whatever. But her ability to fucking just craft a lie out of whole fucking cloth. This is the indicator, and this is the indicator, and this is the indicator, and this is the indicator. And we squeeze all those together, and it says this absolutely and irrefutably. But Psaki goes, no. See, you're looking at it the wrong way. And if we frame it like this, and we take it in, what it means is that Biden's doing a phenomenal job, and that everyone should love great leader and bow down, and thank God it's not his predecessor. And you're just left with your jaw fucking dropping. People used to say that Bill Clinton was a good liar. Bill Clinton was a rank fucking amateur in fucking Psaki's league. Hey, fuck, he wasn't in the same ballpark. He wasn't in the same fucking sport. What did he come up with during the Monica Lewinsky hearings? Well, it depends on what you say is. What the word is. That's what it depends on. That's not wordcraft, Sparky. That's not wordcraft. What Psaki does, that's fucking wordcraft, and it's fucking brilliant. I'm left just slack-jawed. I'm like, my God, I've never seen a woman lie like that. And I've been married more than once to some really horrible bitches that lied. A lot. But this woman spins lies into a fucking art form. I say all that to say this. In spite of her skill and dedication and tenacity, the disasters are piling up faster than she's able to spin it. She's handing that one off. And with this stage managed presidency that we got going on right now, I don't know what they're going to do from here. Nobody else is going to be able to spin it better than she is. She is going to be able to. Right now, she's at the point where it's just boom, boom, boom. Pig fuck after pig fuck after pig fuck after pig fuck after pig fuck, and she's grabbing them and spinning them and sending them back out and grabbing them and spinning them back out. But they're coming too fast now. They're coming too fast, and she can't keep up. Stepping out of the press secretary's role and over in the MSNBC, she will get the pig fucks at a pace that is manageable, so she can, instead of being overwhelmed with pig fucks, she can pick and choose and pace it and reset it and spin it according to her will on her schedule. That's why she's leaving. I don't blame the woman. And I'm interested to see what she does once she gets over to MSNBC. But beyond that, where does Biden go from there? Without Psaki fronting, without Psaki as a buffer zone between the administration and the press on a daily basis, that stage managed cadaver presidency that we have been watching is going to fall to fucking pieces. Very short order. Because even the mainstream legacy press can't fucking justify it anymore. They can't. So, to Jen Psaki, whose red hair is even a lie. Sorry, but there it is. No, I can't really say that. So, as Joey calls her, the little ginger Goebbels. I am a dedicated ginger chaser, man. I love my fucking gingers, and she does have the genetic markers. She does have those genetic markers, man. She is a natural redhead, in my estimation. But that is the limit and extent of her charm beyond her ability to fucking spin a narrative. No one is better. So yeah, for her, it's the right move. Good on her for making it. Again, grudging respect. What she does is deception. What she does is morally reprehensible, um, repugnant, but I begrudgingly respect her skill at what she does. So good luck at the Ministry of Truth over at MSNBC, young lady, and good luck to this administration trying to wade through this horse shit without her as a buffer zone up front. Come here. Come here. Joe, you're fucked. You're so fucked. And of course, I wouldn't be talking to Joe. Joe doesn't know what planet he's on, but Joe's handlers know that they're fucked. Expect to see some fucking desperation coming out of these people. It's already starting. They're already ramping shit up. Pushing this fucking bill trying to tax, pushing a bill trying to tax unrealized capital gains. There's a popular line, mostly correct, among the libertarian crowd that says taxation is theft. Yep, I agree, Ryan. Absolutely agree. There's a line, quite correct, with the libertarian community that says taxation is theft. Nowhere is this more clear than what the Democrats have just fucking proposed. A tax on unrealized capital gains. I'll break this down for you, okay? Without telling tales out of school. I lucked out on my house in Spokane. I paid 80 grand. That's what I paid for this house. With a 60s era bomb shelter and the whole fucking bit. I paid 80 G's for this fucking house. 79 to be specific. I gave them full asking price, and all they had to do was replace the wiring because some Spokane tweakers had gotten in there and yanked out all the wiring while it was sitting there on the market. Tommy, good to see you, man. So anyway, we gave them full asking price, 79 grand. That house is now current market value $247,000. Now, do I have $247,000? Of course, I don't have $247,000 fucking dollars because I didn't sell the house, and I have no intention of selling it. But this thing that the Democrats are proposing, and I know I'm off on a sidebar here. Go fuck yourself. If you don't like it, you're welcome to check out. What they're proposing is a tax on unrealized capital gains, which means that the difference between the 80 grand I paid for the place and the 247 grand that the market, which fluctuates, now says that it's worth, that over 100 grand, 160 grand is considered a capital gain for which I would owe taxes on. For which I would owe taxes on 160,000 that doesn't exist. I didn't sell the house. I'm not gonna sell the fucking house. But because that house, I paid 80 and now it's worth 247, that 160 grand is money that Biden is saying, well, you owe us a percentage of that for taxes. Fucking why? Why? I never saw that money. So you can make fun of the libertarians and their taxation is theft thing all you want, but if this passes, taxation is definitely theft, as if it wasn't already. This is how desperate these motherfuckers are getting, man. You had better keep your goddamn eyes open. And for your grazer buddies and your Pollyanna pals that are very fond of saying, well, dude, I'm really just not interested in politics. Good. But guess what, Sparky? Politics is interested in you. And you ignore that shit at your own fucking peril. If I'm in the penitentiary, I'm keeping my head on a fucking swivel. I'm the only white guy on an all black block and we're all showering together. You bet your ass my head's on a swivel because I know somebody is going to try to at least want to see which one's coming. That is about as accurate a take on the fucking news as I can come up with. They're all trying to fuck you. And you got to keep an eye on every fucking dick. Unfortunate? Yes. Lowbrow? Definitely. So out of character for me. But that's where we're at. So, definitely keep an eye and pass that along to your Pollyanna friends. So, I think the straw, moving on to number 2, bullet point, I think the straw that broke the camel's back for Circle Back Psaki was a certain laptop. A certain laptop that belonged to a certain crackhead. That certain crackhead was the son of a certain president. I'm talking about Hunter Biden, son of Joe Biden, and his laptop. And it wasn't the crackhead stuff. Pictures of him banging strippers 3 at a time. I don't even begrudge him that. I posted this on my personal page and my fan page recently. There was a time in my life, and some of you knew me back during that time. There was a time in my life where I would have partied with fucking Hunter Biden just for the goddamn story. As it stood, I was able to do probably 2/3 of the things that he's been able to do, and I didn't have a politician daddy to bail me out. There was a time I would have rocked him. I would have rock and rolled with fucking Hunter Biden, man. The things that bother me about that have nothing to do with him banging strippers 4 at a time and snorting rails of coke off of off a chick's clit. I don't care, bro. Bravo, more power to you. The pictures of him falling asleep with a fucking meth heater in his fucking mouth, or a straight shooter. For you guys that have been around crack and meth, that doesn't bother me. I guarantee you I've done worse. I fucking guarantee you I've done worse. How many times has Hunter ever been defibrillated? How many times has Hunter ever had his heart stop from a fucking overdose? All right? So that didn't even bother me. I'm not going to hate on him for that because I've fucking done worse, man. Grace of God coming up on fucking 25 years off the shit. But I've done worse. That ain't what makes me mad. This stuff that looks like kiddie porn. Oh yeah, that definitely makes you bristle. But even then, that's only personal. What could possibly be worse than kiddie porn? What could be worse? Okay, well, let me tell you, Sparky, before you get on your fucking moral high horse. And I'm not justifying kiddie porn, not by a damn sight. You guys know how I feel about pedophiles. When in doubt, bleed them out. I'm not saying this to justify pedophilia. I'm not saying this to exonerate Hunter for having pictures on his laptop of him with a lingerie-clad girl who was clearly prepubescent and may actually be a relative. You guys think I'm kidding. This is the same legacy media that told you, and we'll get to that in a minute. This was all a conspiracy theory. This was all Russian disinformation. No, it wasn't. It was there. And much like the COVID narrative, most of us were on that shit 2 fucking years ago, screaming at people, and all you had to say was, tinfoil hat, Alex Jones. That's what you had to say to us. But we were right, as we normally are. I don't get it with you grazers. I don't get it with you fucking Pollyannas anymore. I don't get it. At some stage of the game, once upon a time, like I could have believed it, dismissing the 9/11 conspiracy theories, dismissing this particular conspiracy theory or that. I could see it. But like I said, that old joke from the fucking strip club business. What's the difference between a waitress and a dancer? Usually about 2 weeks. Now we're at a point where that joke could be, what's the difference between conspiracy theory and mainstream news? Usually about 2 fucking weeks. And yet you keep buying it. You keep fucking buying it. It's unreal. This is why I tell you people, don't engage. Don't fucking engage. These people are beyond help. Some might be your friends. Some might be your fucking family, for fuck's sake. Don't talk to them. Don't. If you're going to talk to them, talk about anything but that. It could be your own mother. Talk to her about mother things. Don't get on that. Because it's not going to be swayed. It's like trying to talk a Muslim fundamentalist off the fucking Quran. It's not going to happen. It's an article of faith for them. Hunter Biden's laptop is one of those things. I am bothered by that clearly prepubescent lingerie-clad girl that he's walking around butt naked holding hands with. Yeah, that's disturbing as fuck. But you know what I'm way more troubled by? What could be worse than a child molester? Oh, I don't know. A compromised president. Because on a moral level, yeah, a grown-ass man diddling a prepubescent girl on a moral level, that's certainly a much more egregious offense, But on a consequence level, as long as we're talking consequences, what is more consequential to a larger number of people? Hunter Biden banging a 9-year-old, or Hunter Biden flying with his then VP father on a presidential fucking aircraft to go broker a deal with Chinese financiers? That happened. I was screaming about it when it fucking happened, and was called tinfoil hat, my trouble. How about the thing in Ukraine? You might have heard of that place. The thing that we're supposed to be way fucking concerned about and put their flags in our fucking profiles and ignore the fact that the same people who fucking spent the last 4 or 5 years screaming and accusing everyone of being Nazis suddenly embrace the fucking Azov battalion, which is a Ukrainian division made up exclusively, wait for it, of Nazis. What happened then? When the Maidan coup, yeah, I said what I fucking said. That was not an organic revolution. It was not a color revolution. It was not an organic uprising of the fucking people or anything of the sort. It was a fucking coup, and we instigated it. Right from the beginning, I was screaming, there's something not right about this. There's something not right about this. Knowing the history of the region, first of all. But what happened? Within weeks of the new puppet government, Poroshenko, who we installed, what happened within weeks? And I called it on all of my social media. And every year I remind people when it pops up in my fucking memories. It's good. Biden and Obama are looking out for the interests of emerging democracies, and they're big tits of fledgling democracy, and Obama and Biden are right and fucking set. And within weeks, Biden's son, appointed to the board at Burisma, Ukraine's largest oil and gas conglomerate, getting paid 50 G's a month. Let me say that again, 50 G's a month. In spite of no experience in the oil and gas industry and zero fucking experience in Ukraine. That's VP's son. What's more consequential? Hunter banging a 9-year-old and her little scaled down red and black lingerie, or Hunter being appointed to a board and trading on his father's name and putting us in hock to the Ukrainians, flying on a presidential aircraft with his father, brokering a deal with the Chinese, putting us in hock to the Chinese Communist Party? What is more consequential? I'm going to say something that is going to rub people the wrong way, but I want you to listen to what I am saying. Given the choice, I would rather have the son of a president ass fucking a half dozen 9-year olds than to have a president of the United States, in spite of what his son, or because of what his son has gotten them into, be compromised to the communist ruling party of a nation that wants us dead. I would rather have the son of a president fisting a Latina on her quinceañera than to have that president's son working on the board at Burisma and putting us in a geopolitical position where we are on the brink of going to war with, wait for it, the world's only other nuclear superpower. Listen to what I am saying. I am not advocating for President Son's ass banging 9-year olds. I'm not advocating for President Son's fisting 15-year olds. What I am saying is that given the choice, looking on a scale of morality, it's easy to see which one is lower on the totem pole. But given the scale of consequences, there's things to be outraged about on that laptop, and the kiddie porn doesn't come close. But that's the beauty of it, isn't it? That's why a lot of people said that it's a shame that the media didn't cover the Hunter Biden laptop thing when it broke. That's not true. They did cover it. And universally, without exception, they said that it was what? Come on, guys, 2 words. You know the words. What was it? Russian disinformation. In fact, they even got 51 former intelligence operatives. 51 former intelligence operatives all agree that it's Russian disinformation. 51 intelligence operatives agreed on the Steele dossier too, didn't they? Anytime the legacy media, including my dear circle back bitch when she gets over to MSNBC, start telling you that 51 intelligence agents or 51 or 19 intelligence agencies agreed on anything, bet your soul that it is a fucking pus dripping lie. So let it be with the Hunter Biden laptop scandal. They did report on it. They called it a lie. They called it Russian disinformation specifically, and then they trotted out 51 deep state shills that used to work for the intelligence agencies to say, yes, absolutely, it is Russian disinformation. Not a word of truth to it. It's all Russian disinformation. Twitter shut down the account of the New York Post. The New York Post, granted, a conservative-leaning newspaper, but they shut them down. They shut their account down rather than publish even the accusation. Because they're there to shape your opinion. That's what they're there for. So now it has become overwhelming. much like the Russiagate scandal did with Trump, all the accusations of Russian collusion. Eventually, that house of cards fell. Eventually, the Hunter Biden laptop as Russian disinformation thing is also falling apart. They're forced to contend with it. So the first fallback plan is, well, we had intended to cover it, but we were led to believe, okay, that's not going to work. Second fallback plan is going to be the distractions. And the distractions are going to be, how shitty are you for picking on a guy with a drug problem? Biden himself did that during the debates. I'm proud of my son. Yeah, you should be, man, because he's dyed in the wool of you, isn't he, Joe? You corrupt piece of shit. That's going to be the first distraction. How horrible are we to pick on a guy with a substance abuse problem? So we'll hear about the drugs, but we won't hear about Burisma. Then comes the titillating thing, because sex always sells and pedophilia sells really big, because that's how sick we've gotten as a fucking culture. The picture of Hunter, butt naked, with a clearly prepubescent girl in black and red lingerie. Is it an underage girl? Oh, is that kitty porn? Oh, rumors are that that's a relative. Oh. They want you talking about the drugs. They want you talking about the kitty porn, because as long as you're talking about the drugs and as long as you're talking about the kitty porn, you're not talking about the son of a president cashing in on his father's name, flying on a presidential aircraft, Air Force Two, to communist China to broker a deal with Chinese financiers. Starting to see how this works, Sparky? Look over here, look over here, look over here. Bang. So we will hear about the drugs, and we will hear about the kitty porn, and we will hear about doing rails of coke off of stripper asses, and we will hear about him banging his brother's wife before Bo's body was even cold. Is that sick? Bet your ass it is. But as I was saying before, I would rather have him banging his brother's wife in front of his brother on his brother's deathbed than have a compromised presidency. Do you understand the full width and breadth of what I'm saying now? Don't get caught up in the fucking distractions about this goddamn laptop. I don't care that he's banging underage girls. Is it horrible? Fuck yeah. It's definitely horrible. Morally reprehensible and repugnant, as I said before. But I don't care. Not nearly as much as I care about a compromised commander-in-chief. Is it horrible that he fucking smokes crack? Is it horrible that he jumped in the sack with his brother's fucking wife before his brother's body was even cold, and then stepped out on his brother's wife to knock up a stripper? And then got caught with an illegal handgun, pitched it into a fucking trash can, and had the ATF cover it up for him. Are all these things horrible? Yes, terrible. I don't care. I don't care. Because my eyes are on the prize, and what that prize is that my eyes are on, are the fact that we're about to go to goddamn war with the world's only other nuclear superpower, because your cadaver in chief had a deal brokered through his son, and now we're in hock. And who runs interference? Legacy media, big tech. Who runs interference? Who tells you what flag to have in your fucking profile? How many otherwise intelligent people, type friends, do you have that have looked at this thing and have Ukraine? I stand with Ukraine. I stand with Ukraine. Really? Show me Ukraine on a map, Sparky. Here's a map of the region. Show me Ukraine. They can't do it. I'm not nearly as disappointed in my lefty friends and my liberal friends behind this shit as I am my so-called conservative friends. You guys fucking sicken me right now. Because for the last 2 goddamn years, you have, quite correctly, beaten us over the head with the fact that we can't trust the goddamn thing that the mainstream media have to say about anything. About the election, about COVID, about the lockdowns, the effectiveness of masks, the vaccine thing. You were right. But now they gave you the right boogeyman, and goddamn if you didn't jump right in line, didn't you? Stepping. Fetch it. That's the end of the reference. Stepping. Fetch it. Stepping. Fetch it. Look at it. Yes, Miss Daisy. I'll shuffle and coon for you. I put a Ukraine flag in my profile for you. Say that Mr. Putin's a bad man. One I should sing for you too. That's what you fucking look like to me right now, you pathetic sacks of shit. Don't ever talk to me about fucking principle. You are either principled anti-authoritarian or you are fucking not. The legacy media either can be trusted or they can fucking not. Don't come at me with this shit just because they found your proper boogeyman, Sparky. Don't play with me. Don't fall for the distractions, people. That's the long and the short of it. You're going to hear a lot about the Hunter Biden laptop, and it's all going to be shuck and jive, and it's all going to be sleight of hand, and it's all going to be distractions. They'll talk to you about the crack pipes. They'll talk to you about the kiddie porn. They'll talk to you about him banging his brother's wife. They'll talk to you about all kinds of shit. Anything to keep you from looking at the real deal. And the real deal is we have a cadaver in chief in the Oval Office who is full bore in dementia, completely unaware of his surroundings, the centerpiece of the most stage managed presidency in United States history. And getting back to bullet point number 1, now the only thing standing between him, in fact, I'll even tie this into the Indianapolis. If the media are sharks, ooh, you smell that? That's a segue. Yeah. If the media are sharks, they're smelling blood in the water. And Psaki was his only fucking life raft. Ducey, shark number 1, really pushing on the Hunter laptop thing. And even CBS and ABC that I've seen, I can't speak to the rest of the networks, but I've seen on YouTube, CBS and ABC dealing with the Hunter laptop thing and finally acknowledging it's a real thing. But they're doing exactly what I told you they would. Let's look at the crack habit. Let's look at him banging the hookers. Let's look at this. Let's look at that. There is a cadaver, a staged, managed cadaver in the Oval Office. And his handlers were counting on Psaki, their only life raft, to save them from all those sharks that smelled blood in the water. What sorts of things do you think these people will be capable of once they figure out that their life raft is gone and it's just them and 10,000 sets of flesh-ripping teeth ready to eat them alive? Desperation makes people do really fucked up things. That's a point worth pondering. Don't get caught up in the distractions. Keep your eyes on what's really going on. It's not about a crackhead president's son, a crackhead pervo president's son. It's about an Alzheimer's riddled, addled, cognitively declining, entirely compromised president. And if those are the two things that we have a choice about what to point our outrage at. I give two fucks what Hunter does. Any of it, even the worst of it, I don't care. Does that make me cold? No, that makes me pragmatic. Holy shit, that was almost a Biden whisper, wasn't it? It makes me pragmatic. Didn't mean to make it creepy. After all this talk about fisting on quinceañeras, right? Now I'm making it creepy. All right, whatever. Shit's got me fired up, people. Shit's got me fired up, and it should have you fired up too. Just remember, when you get fired up about the right things. Don't fall for the distractions. It's like the distraction on COVID. The fear narrative is failing. Again, when I ask hypothetically, what do you think these people are capable of? They're capable of a lot of things. One of the things that you can fully expect to see reemergence of is the COVID lockdowns. It'll be another new variant. It'll be another new thing. It'll be another emergency situation that we've got to reassert emergency powers, and everybody's got to mask up and everybody's got to lock down again, because this has all been about control from the very beginning. Media control. And what is the biggest motivator when it comes to media control? Fear. But here's the good news, boys and girls. Fear narrative is failing. Everybody has known, even the fawning faithful, they've known. They play along because they're good little simps, good little spineless, gutless simps. But they've known from the very beginning that this is all about control. And the narrative based on fear is failing. No one's afraid anymore. I take that back, because just this week I saw someone riding in their car by themselves with a mask on. Some people are brainwashed and permanently damaged, and they're never going to come out of that hole. But as a general rule, the fear narrative has failed. It's failed. And now all their distractions are failing too. So they resort to more and more desperate measures. Look at the polls. No matter who they try to blame, no one's listening to them. They tried to blame inflation on Vladimir Putin. That's crazy. I reposted a tweet that I saw earlier today. It's like, wow, little did I know that my power bill went up $100 for the month of January because Putin was going to invade Ukraine in February. They're not buying that one either. Pluralities across the board are putting the blame where it fucking belongs, and the Dems are in a panic because this is their last shot. They went too far too fast, and everyone's seeing the writing on the fucking wall. This is their last shot, and they know it. And they're losing, and they know it. Clap your hands. They're fucked. The fear narrative has failed. The control narrative has failed. And so they do anything to keep it on bread and circuses, which brings me to my last and final point on the importance of reserves. They keep opening the United States Strategic Petroleum Reserve. Now, just the two underground storage facilities in Texas and Louisiana for the Strategic Petroleum Reserves, you're looking at 714 million barrels. That's what we have in reserve. He keeps making these broad overtures with the tacit approval of the legacy press. I am releasing 20 million barrels. I'm releasing 100 million barrels from the U.S. Strategic Reserve in an effort to drive prices down. And it never does, because that's got fuck all to do with the prices. The boycott of Russian oil has fuck all to do with the prices. Biden's energy policy has everything to do with those prices, and everyone knows it. Everyone knows it. Psaki knows it. Good God, she spins it beautifully, though, doesn't she? But deep down, she knows. Everyone does. And it's not working anymore. But they'll throw out some big number. 180 million barrels we're releasing from the strategic reserve. It sounds like a big number to people who aren't paying attention. Would any of you like to take a guess at how many barrels of oil this country goes through on an average daily basis? I'll give you about 20 seconds if anybody wants to pop up in the comments. It's a lot. So when Biden comes out and says, we're releasing, tries to read off the teleprompter, we're releasing 200 million barrels from the U.S. Strategic Reserve to deal with Putin's price spike. Yeah. This week, it was 180 million barrels that they released. Joey, you're very close. 18 million. 18 million barrels a day is what this country goes through on average. So when he says, I'm releasing 180 million barrels, and the fawning faithful just rejoice because the naked emperor has this beautiful fucking set of clothes because that fucking Maddow guy and that circled back bitch said that he did. 180 million barrels, that's 10 days. Average. During travel season, it lasts even less. And guess what? That's the thing about reserves. It's eventually they run out. They're there for a fucking reason. Now, again, do I need to reiterate that we are on the edge of war with the world's only other nuclear superpower, and we're opening up our strategic petroleum reserves to correct gas prices that were caused by the administration's policies. Help me out here. What am I fucking missing? The last thing that we need to be dealing with, I would sooner see him cut the deal with fucking Venezuela than tap into the goddamn reserves. The reserves are there for wartime, Sparky. Did that occur to you? Wartime in times of severe national crisis. And I don't mean a national crisis of your fucking making, you addled cadaver fuck. I mean legit emergencies, legit crises. And you're selling it off to offset prices, which is also failing. Here's why reserves are important. That there is a last-ditch effort. I am stocked to the gills and dug in like an Alabama tick. You guys know me as a fucking survivalist and a prepper. And if you've ever been to my place, and some of you have, you really know. Some of you who have been friends of mine since the late 80s, early 90s, you definitely know. I'm stocked to the rafters and dug in like an Alabama tick. Do you want to know how much of that reserve that I dip into ever? Fucking none. 100 more pounds of rice in a Mylar bag with an O2 absorber and a 5-gallon bucket is 100 more pounds of rice and peace of mind that I just bought to stick away in the fucking bunker. The stuff that I keep in circulation is what I keep in circulation. If that means I'm going broke and I got to eat lighter, that means I go broke and I eat lighter. Or take on a second job to make more money to be able to afford to eat. Is this starting to make sense as an analogy? Open up U.S. production. Yet another thing that Psaki's not going to be around to spin anymore. You know, the oil companies have hundreds of leases all over the thing that they're not drilling on. Yeah, right. They're not drilling on them because there's no oil on those leases. That's why they're not putting fucking wells in the ground. Sparky. And you're not selling them any new leases, and you've canceled all the new offshore leases. We have the capability to restore U.S. production. How do I know that? Because for 4 fucking years, we were a net exporter. Certain guy in the White House, orange fellow with some mean tweets, kind of a buffoon. Maybe you remember him. Say what you want about Darth Cheeto, but we were a net exporter for the first time in 60 fucking years. Do you know the importance of that on a global scale right now? What would it be like to be able to watch Russia invade Ukraine? Or, for that matter, God forbid, what if Iran launched daisy cutters into the Saudi oil fields? Which at one point they did launch missiles into the Saudi oil fields during the Trump administration. You know what Trump did in response? Fuck all nothing, because we didn't have to. We didn't have to. We were a net exporter. We had plenty of shit of our own. Oh, that looks to me like a Saudi fucking problem. What would you give for that right now? To not be beholden to the fucking world. And you know what? Windmills and solar panels aren't going to fucking do it, Sparky. Not for another 100 years at least. Coming from a guy who worked a wind farm. Ryan, I know you're out there. You've worked a wind farm too. You'll second me on that. You were the one that schooled me. Reserves. But the importance of reserves transcend government and geopolitics and everything that's going on in the fucking country right now. The importance of reserves goes deeper than that. The importance of reserves goes down to a deeply personal level. How are your reserves looking right now? Walk to your pantry or your food closet or whatever the fuck you got, your Foot Locker, whatever the fuck you got in your little urban hovel that you may or may not be living in, or your palatial suburban, what the fuck ever. Go to your pantry right now. Open the fucking thing. Look and imagine that if every goddamn truck in the country shut down tomorrow and no more food was coming to the store, how long could you, and more importantly, your children last? That may be the single most important question you ask yourself this week. How are your reserves? Getting back to the words of one James Wesley Rawls about beans, bullets, and band-aids, and the Reverend Bart Fourth bleach, disinfectants, soaps, antibacterials. How long would you last? So while we have an addled cadaver in the fucking Oval Office whose handlers are selling off reserves, now might be a good time to take stock of what not to do. Instead, take the opposite tack. Seriously scale up and look. And I posted that article again, as I said I would, to my personal page and my fan page about how $500 could put you 6 months ahead of everybody else. I'll let you know, as I promised you I would. You take stock of your fucking reserves. And while that addled cadaver's handlers go selling off our petroleum reserves, our economic reserves, whatever reserves we had of any fucking moral compass, the less reserves that the deep state leave for us as a nation, the more important your reserves are to you and your family. So sock that shit away. Plenty of people have laid the path for you. And remember, you have precious little control of what that addled cadaver and his handlers do in the White House, but you have all the control over what you do in your house. And if you don't have those reserves for yourself together, when the reserves for the country run out, you will have no one to blame but yourself. And that, my friend, is a fate that I only wish that I could spare you. I am the Reverend. That is the gospel. Thank you for you guys being here and for being patient with me running late and all the internet hiccups and the questionable video quality and everything else. We're doing what we can. I love you guys. If anything that I said, and again, let me close with this because I did kind of end on a down note. Don't get blackpilled. Again, when I say what you choose to do is going to affect you, that it is entirely up to you. If you're taking that as a black pill, that means you're lacking confidence in yourself, son. You need to get your game together, Sparky. Step it the fuck up because we're heading into overtime right now and all bets are fucking off. Time to find that strength deep down inside and time for all of us to cleave to each other. Do you feel me on that? My Reverend's Rangers, my prophets of doom, my sinner sisters out there. We got to cleave to each other now. What was it Breitbart said? Politics is downstream from culture. Culture abandoned us a long fucking time ago. Politics, maybe even longer, but it doesn't matter because it's us. It's the like minds, it's the kindred spirits, and it's that personal strength. All of us together, we're really fucking strong. But we got to be at a point where every one of us can be strong individually as well. Because if you're not any good as an individual, you're not any good to whatever collective may evolve organically, man. So find that strength, man. And don't let the shit get you down. Don't. If anything I threw out today, change your worldview, offered you some new information, you want to throw me a little bit of coin, I'll certainly take it. I'll pass that digital collection plate around. I'm on Facebook, Facebook Pay. I'm on Cash App, Venmo, PayPal, fucking name it. I'm probably on it. Zelle. Hit me up if you're wondering, and I'll let you know what my address is on any of the above. If you can't, that's totally cool too. I get it. This Biden economy has fucked everybody, and if you're not able to kick down, I totally get that, and I don't hold it against you at all, man. In fact, the proper excuse is, Bart, I'd love to help out, but right now I need to put away another 100 pounds of rice. I'll take that. 100 times out of 100, baby. Put that food away for you and your family. But here's what you can do, man. You can spread the word about the program. Let them know, hey, man, it's the Reverend. He's a crane operator with some opinions. No big deal. Fat, toothless, crippled motherfucker that gets on the rants and raves for an hour every Sunday. It's kind of a nut job, but I think you'll dig it, man. It's a light-minded and kindred spirit. Tell them about the program. Spread that gospel. Take the replay, man. And again, the replay is posted on all the usual platforms and on BitChute. Repost it to your own social media, man. Spread that gospel for me. I appreciate that. That's something you can do for me. But here's what you can do for me that you can also do for yourselves. We go over it every week, man. And the deeper we get into this thing, look, don't get blackpilled. In the end, we win. Don't ever lose sight of that. But here's what you can do for me that you can also do for yourself. Just follow those prime directives, guys. You know the drill. Everybody knows it by now. All my Reverend Rangers, my sinner sisters, prophets of doom, prime directives. The world is going to try to bury you in noise. Be the signal, not the noise. Cut through that noise with the signal and hit them with that truth cock. They'll try to crush you with the darkness. You got to be that light. Be that light in a world full of darkness. We try to smother you, demoralize you with that black pill shit. Rise above, man. Be the light in that world full of darkness. And first and foremost, the iron rule is to be that strength in a world full of weakness. It's without that strength, none of the other shit matters. I love you guys, and I wish you that strength. Thank you for being here, man. Love y'all. Every single one of you. Appreciate the support. I am the Reverend. That is the gospel. We'll see you next Sunday. Love you guys. Every last one of you. Even if you don't love me back. See ya.